I'm actually not feeling well.
You don't sound so great,
No.
which is ironically appropriate for our
I
pod.
know, I know, but it's like, annoying and like slightly stressful. I just have had a runny nose for a few days, and
Uh-oh.
I know, but that's basically the only symptom I've had. Oh my God, I just don't know, like, if I just have sniffles or if I feel anything else. Hold on, excuse me for a moment. Yeah, bloody fucking corona.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the This Movie Is podcast. Today, we're doing a very special podcast about the coronavirus. I'm sorry, I meant the movie Contagion, but it's basically the same thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I am here. I am your co host, Emily. I'm here with Tommy. And yes, today we're going to be discussing Contagion, a movie you guys may have seen or may have watched recently in light of current world events. I know I did.
Had you ever seen this movie before?
Yes, I'd seen it before and I totally loved it. And funnily enough, I've been thinking for like 6 months or so before this all happened that I really wanted to watch Contagion again because I love these kind of movies. Give me a disease, give me zombies. I just like seeing how something wipes over a globe. So, yes, I have seen it before. And from what I remembered, I really liked it. So, I watched it again recently and obviously was shook.
I hadn't seen it before. To be honest with you, I didn't even really know it existed. I may have heard the name at some point, but it was something that was just never on my radar.
Yeah.
But it is crazy how much the movie was mirroring our real life climate at the moment, except for one crucial thing I feel they missed, and that was the great toilet paper scarcity. They missed the boat on that one.
Well, I think they didn't because the shops were being like looted.
They were, but they didn't zero in on the
Yeah,
toilet paper.
I know. I mean, who knew about that?
Yeah, we've both been to stores recently and we've both observed the insanity at how people are gravitating towards specific items, toilet paper being one of them.
Oh, in Australia, it's like wild. People are having brawls in the supermarket filmed on video over toilet paper rolls. And I hate to say it, but my mother, I think she's one of them because she came home the other day. She walked in the house looking really like weird and guilty. And I was like, what are you doing? Why do you look so weird? And she's like, she's from England. She's like, I'm sorry. I couldn't handle it. I was worried. I bought another 24 pack of toilet paper. I was like, Mom, you are one of them.
It's funny you say that because my mom was actually the same way. She was saying how she had plenty, but then as soon as this panic hit, she started freaking out. And then she's like looking on Amazon and stuff, and she's just like, "Ah, I should probably get some more." And then she's just like,
Oh
"Have you
my
seen any toilet paper
God.
in the store? Pick some up." And I'm just like, "You just said you had enough. Like, what? You're part of the problem."
Absolutely. Naughty mama. By the way, if I sound weird, do I sound nasally? Because I actually,
It's because she has coronavirus right now, everybody. So
I I currently have a wad of toilet paper up each nostril with my headphones on, so I'm looking really sexy at the
you
moment.
should make that a nice Instagram
Well, I
post.
just took photos before of me, but I didn't have the toilet paper up my nose. Okay, I'll do another one quickly now with it. Okay. So, yes, I have had a runny nose for a few days, and I'm kind of worried, to be honest. I have no other symptoms. I don't have a cough, I don't have a sore throat, I don't have any fevers, just a runny nose. And if you know me, you know I have really bad allergies, and the weather has been cold the last few days. And I think that's what's triggered. By cold, I mean cold to me, so like 23 degrees Celsius. I don't know what the hell that is in Fahrenheit. For all you your non-metric system
It
noobs.
says right now in Sydney, Australia, it's 66 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
So 20 for you, 66 for
So
us.
that's enough to get me sick, that weather. I cannot handle the cold.
Which, by
Give
the
me
way,
sun all day every day.
for those of us here in the US, especially us East Coast folk, 66 degrees is not even remotely cold.
Oh, brr,
So,
brr.
you Australians, I mean, I lived in LA for 9 years. So, it's funny that they were so used to the warmer weather themselves that when this sort of temperature would hit, you'd see everybody getting out their winter coats and I'd be like a t shirt. I'd be like, what's wrong with you people? It's like comfortable and fine.
Yeah.
I guess those of you in the warmer climates can't really handle the slight chill.
Well, I can't, which is weird because my family's from England, so I should be able to handle it more. But I've got the Zimbabwean genes in me from my dad, and I like the warm. Anyway, so yes, I may be dying. I may not be. Hopefully, I'll be fine.
This might be the last episode of This
Yeah,
Movie Is
guys.
podcast.
Wow, I'm coming to you from beyond the grave.
Imagine. Would you still want me to publish it if you died before this went up?
Oh, hell yeah. Like, hype it up.
In memoriam.
Use it to get us views. Yeah, 100%.
And then I could find like a younger, blonder co-star and then take off where we left off.
Good luck finding anyone remotely as funny, educated, or modest as me. Okay,
Anyway.
So, Contagion is a 2011 movie about a pandemic with very eerie similarities to our current Earth. So I found out that recently this movie has been climbing up the rental charts on all platforms, streaming platforms. It's trending clearly because people are like, wow, W-O-W, wow. So basically what happens in this movie, the way that the virus comes about is it originates from a bat that when deforestation was happening in the Chinese forests, the bat flies away, eats some fruit with the. Oh wait, does it matter that it eats the fruit, or is it just the bat has? Oh yeah, so I think the bat has a virus. The bat eats some fruit, which therefore puts its saliva on the fruit, drops this fruit down into a little piggy barn where a piglet eats the fruit. Gets picked up, taken to a Chinese restaurant, to the casino. Sorry, Hong Kong, isn't it, maybe? And then that's where everything goes wrong.
Can you say that word again?
Casino?
I can't tell if that's the way you Australians say
No, it's
casino.
not. I'm just saying it in a funny way, like casino, like we're partying at the casino.
Okay.
So yes, then this virus ends up in the casino where we meet our initial leading lady, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Who is a cheating whore
Yes.
in this film.
Yes, awful woman. And we don't really see exactly the whole play of events of how this virus spread until, for those of you who've seen it, one of the end scenes, oh my God, I just got FBC. FBC means full body chills. Thinking about the ending scene in this movie where it literally goes start to finish, the bat, the fruit, the drop, and then her eating it, and then it just goes shaking hands, leaving her phone, blowing into the dice, drinking, and we just watch this thing spread. And it is very, very eerie, being that we are currently trying to control our own pandemic on Earth, COVID-19, coronavirus. How about it?
Yeah, I actually really liked the way that it ended because it started at day 2.
Yeah.
And I like the way that they ended with day 1. So they kind of brought you back to the beginning to show you exactly what transpired to get to that point. And yeah, I thought it was effectively done because it wasn't information anybody was privy to. It was more so just for us, the viewers. You know, it wasn't something that they would have ever been able to figure out. Like, oh, it got from the bat to the pig. But it was just a little PS at the end. Like, by the way, PS to you viewers, this is how it actually happened.
Yeah, I really liked that. It really tied it in together well. And I think, so towards the end of the opening sequence and the opening scene when Gwyneth is at the airport, the camera, hold on, what can I say here?
Those are Emily's birds, by the way, for those of you at home wondering. She has a whole slew of them.
That's what happens when you live in the bush in Australia. I can't hear, I've got noise-cancelling earphones on and I've got my windows closed. Oh, you should see at night. I'm hearing possums fighting outside, kangaroos jumping past my window. I'm actually not joking. Can't get more Aussie. Yes, so see when she's in the airport, I really liked the filming and the editing of this scene where it basically followed Gwyneth's hands and body with everything she touches. So it goes to the peanuts that she gets, it goes from her credit card, people touching her credit card, the guy who swipes it.
Which, by the way, as if you didn't need to know, don't touch those public peanuts.
Yes. And
if you're ever in a bar, if you're ever in an airport, whatever, don't fuck with those peanuts.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the way they're filming it, anytime a hand touches a door or a knob or a pole or anything, the audience is just going, oh, especially given what we're going through right now.
Yes, it was definitely everything hit a lot harder when you had that real life correlation of what's happening in the moment, because it wasn't just a movie. It was, oh, okay, so this is what actually happens right now. You know, people are touching things and they're touching their mouths or whatever else, and
It's traumatizing because I touch so much and I touch my face so much. And I just think, oh my God, I can never touch anything again, right?
I feel like this movie is actually a great movie to show people for this moment right now as kind of a what not to,
Warning.
yeah, warning or what not to do, because it definitely makes you feel more aware of just the simple touching things and what that can do.
Yes, well, in my pre-podcast research that I've done, I was reading about the director Steven Soderbergh. I hope I pronounced that right. And on filming and creating this movie, he recruited several well-established epidemiologists to develop a realistic plot, making sure it all made sense. And they assisted in editing the script and training the actors who would be portraying the health officials in the movie. So scientists were employed to make sure this movie is super realistic, follows similar patterns of pre-existing viruses, and I think that was very effective because, yeah. So did you like this movie? Like, do you have bad things to say? Because it was really good, right?
I mean, maybe over the course of this review, I'll think of some bad things to say. But I don't really, off the top of my head, I don't have any immediate bad things to say because, I mean, I can't argue with the fact that they got so much right.
Yeah.
Because we're literally witnessing it right now. So, I mean, I guess I could always say that it was a very story-driven movie and it wasn't really concerned with presenting the visuals or the soundtrack in a very engaging way. You know, like it wasn't going for high cinematography or an engaging
Yeah.
soundtrack. It was a fact-based film that was worried about its story, and that's fine. I don't expect every movie to be a Tim Burton like super visual story, but I mean, I'm
Didn't
fine with
really
it.
need that.
Yeah, a movie
It
like
instilled enough panic in you without the frills, you know?
Yeah, a movie like this, I didn't feel needed it. I was fine with it. And I thought, when you told me it was a movie that had a bunch of famous people in it, I started envisioning another one of these Love Actually type deals. And I was like, oh,
Well, I mean,
fuck.
it kind of was the pandemic version of Love Actually. And
No, but I would say not, because nothing in Love actually matters. Whereas in this movie, everything comes together for the telling of a singular story, which is the disease.
yes,
So,
I actually really liked that how it was spread out over the globe with different people responding to the crisis in different ways. And can I just say that I really liked Kate Winslet and her character? I think she was a boss lady, and I was actually really sad when she died. And oh my God, throwback. When she's dying in the big hospital bed thing and she gives her jacket to the guy and then she dies. I was like, oh my God, this is so sad.
yeah, I definitely thought she was one of the better actors in this, and I think it definitely was one of, if not the most saddest moments in the film, is when she died, because to see the actual person that was brought in to help
I
everybody,
know.
even them, who was completely aware of everything not to do, and yet she still got it, because situations like this, sometimes you just can't help it. You only have so much control over your
Totally.
surroundings.
And that is a direct parallel to what's happening right now with all the healthcare professionals out there that are victims of this shit. And when people aren't fucking staying home and stopping the spread, it's putting all the pressure on them. And there are doctors and nurses that are dying from this. Well, the doctor in China, who I'm pretty sure he treated the first patient with coronavirus, and then obviously many after that, he ended up dying, which is really sad. And then also there was an Australian doctor recently, a Sydney doctor who treated a patient with it, and then maybe another, I don't know if he treated multiple patients, but he ended up getting it. And he was a young, healthy, fit 50-something-year-old man, which is not old by this kind of stretch. And I don't know if he's died, but he was in a hospital with like acute respiratory illness. Like he had pneumonia, his lungs were fucked basically. So that's why you really feel for the people in this movie that are trying their best to help, knowing what would happen and dying anyway. It's really sad.
Yeah, and I also like that they had the Jude Law character, the guy who's trying to profit in all of this, because there are people
I
out there
wouldn't
that
say he was trying to profit. He was worried.
he faked his entire illness to get rich.
Wait, he did?
Did you miss that part?
Wait, well, I know he
He
was.
faked being ill to try to tell people, hey, this drug is working as a cure, and then he created a big demand for this drug, but it was all bullshit. Like they said to him at
What
the
the
end,
fuck did I miss?
yeah, I don't know how you missed that.
I felt that he did have it and he had a cure and like.
No, he didn't. They told him at the end when they brought him in. They were like, you haven't had this disease. Like, we tested you and you have not had this disease. And basically, they would have arrested him, or I guess maybe they technically did arrest him, but I guess all his followers or whatever on social media put up enough money to bail him out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember. Well, there you go. Well, maybe let's not put that bit in because I clearly didn't watch that bit correctly.
But it's a big part of the movie, and I thought it was a very accurate part of the movie because in these times, you do have your kind people who want to do the right thing, but then you also have assholes who think, how can I profit from this? And that's where a lot of the hoarding is coming from. I saw this thing online about this guy who just hoarded so much shit so he could sell it for a giant markup. You always have people that are looking to profit in times of disaster, and I like the fact.
Hey, us included.
Yeah, right. As we put out this appropriately timed podcast.
Yes.
But yeah, I like that they had that character in there as somebody who you didn't know it at first. It wasn't until the end you actually find out, and he has successfully used it to make millions of dollars. So yeah, I like that they really did cover a broad spectrum of
of realistic possibilities of what happens during this type of crisis. Another thing I thought was interesting and I guess fair, and it potentially could come down to it if I'm hoping coronavirus isn't going to be as intense as the virus in the movie, but if we did have another disease come through that everybody had to be vaccinated for, I like how they had that vaccination lottery raffle thing.
That was an interesting way of handling it.
Well, I think it was good, right? Because how else can you be
it's
fair? Yeah.
It's definitely a fair way of doing it.
Well, see, that's the kind little details like that make the movie really plausible.
Yeah.
And that's why I really like it. And that's actually why it was all the more scary because you never get moments where you're watching it and you're like, oh, fuck, this is so far-fetched. I was just like, wow, we're all going to die.
I mean, to be fair, the virus in the movie was definitely much deadlier.
Oh my God, it was so scary when they were fucking sneezing and shit. I was like,
yeah.
Oh, I have a runny nose. Am I going to start sneezing? No, but,
But yeah, it was affecting everybody, kids to the elderly, whereas this is mostly affecting elderly and people with previous conditions.
Yes.
And it was acting very quickly. I mean, the spread in the movie was over a matter of days, whereas this has been over the course of months. So
let's just do a quick tracker of the deaths just so we can...
Right now we're looking at about 11,300 deaths out of 272,000 cases. That's known, mind you. There's a lot of people that probably have it that haven't been tested. I'm not directing that at you. I'm just saying that's the truth of the situation.
No, totally.
Because the symptoms are not that bad if you're not one of these high-risk people. So a lot of people probably have had it and don't even realize it. They just think it's a mild cold or something. So that's something also I think people need to take into account. And I think the one takeaway is, unlike the movie, where it was very highly deadly immediately to pretty much everybody, I think a lot of people need to calm down when it comes to this current...
As Taylor Swift says, you need to calm down. Do you get that reference?
No.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, as far as the actual deaths are concerned, it is not that bad when you consider every year the flu kills...
Oh, God, don't start going through this shit. Fucking hell.
The flu kills roughly 290 to 650,000 people every year.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay. Yes, the death toll hasn't reached that much yet, but it's very unhelpful for people to go around throwing out stats like that because, yes, whilst they're true, there are so many more factors at play that make COVID-19 a lot more serious than the flu is. And people going around saying, oh, the flu kills way more people. It's just so unhelpful because this has a way higher spread rate, for one. There's no vaccine for two. So there's a lot of things. And I know you may think I'm being a little bit bitchy about this, but so many people saying this shit casually, well, yes, it's true, but without all the proper scientific facts behind it, creates an atmosphere of casualness about this disease. Not for all people, but for a lot of people. They'll be scrolling through Facebook and they'll see just articles like, oh, the flu kills X amount more people, but why we're not panicking? The media are fucking doing this shit. People are sheep, blah, blah, blah. So look, you may not have meant that so in depth, but it is unhelpful to say those kind of things. And my dad's a
I think
respiratory doctor and he gets really pissed off about it because,
respiratory in the US.
oh my God.
I think that it's important to know these stats because a lot of people are in full-blown panic mode right now. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be careful. I'm not saying you shouldn't take precautions. I'm not saying you shouldn't be aware of the fact that, yes, this does have a much higher rate of spreading and potentially a much higher rate of deaths. Yes, it's probably more deadly than a regular flu, but the point is, we do not need to be going out and hoarding all the toilet paper.
No.
We do not need to be afraid to leave the house. I mean, right now, my state is pretty much on lockdown.
Well, breaking news as of this morning, London's officially gone into lockdown.
Yeah, I heard pretty much California has been put in a lockdown. I mean, it's crazy. And I think that all we need to do is just be mindful of our actions and just be careful. Like the social distancing, which they even mentioned in the movie, which is crazy. I never even heard the term social
Oh
distancing
my God.
before.
Okay, that is really creepy.
But they had this in that movie, which was made years ago. They knew then, even, social distancing.
Oh, no. Health professionals have always feared this. I saw a video the other day of Bill Gates doing a TED talk in like 2015 or 16, basically saying, we are due for a virus to come through and spread. And it can be something with simple symptoms. Geez, that's a tongue twister. Simple symptoms that don't affect many people, but will affect so many immunocompromised people and elderly people. It will wipe through. We need to prepare now. We need to get our medical professionals prepared for something like this. And he was just saying all this shit, and it was like 5 years ago, and it's so weird to watch. And it's just wild to know that this kind of thing, I guess, can happen at any time.
The movie was based on a couple of real life things. It was based on SARS and it was based on H1N1. They kind of combined those two things because I believe SARS came from a bat, H1N1 came from a pig. So that's where they kind of combined those two elements in this movie to make the super virus.
Well, do you know what? If we all stopped eating meat, I'm not vegetarian, by the way, but if we all stopped eating meat, none of these diseases would ever happen and the world would be a lot better of a place environmentally.
I mean,
that's a fact.
Would it though? I mean,
that's not an opinion. That's just a fact.
I mean, I don't know. I get the sense that the pig would have still been contaminated by the bat and that pig could have still come into contact with people somehow and spread a disease. So I wouldn't say necessarily if we stopped eating meat, all this disease would just go away forever. I think there's definitely situations where...
Well, okay, 90% of the cases, 95% of the cases.
Possible.
And one of us is right, so that's fine. We both know who's right.
I'm glad you can admit that. Thank you.
But yes, anyway, there was actually a funny little social media post recently, which you wouldn't know because I don't think you have any social media, is Gwyneth Paltrow posted a picture on Instagram recently on a plane wearing a mask, and in the caption she wrote, "I've already seen this movie. Stay safe, don't shake hands, wash hands frequently." It's like, haha, you dead, girl, you dead. But I also really liked the opening scene opens with a cough, if you remember. And it comes from Gwyneth Paltrow, who's patient zero in the moment. But that's how it opens. It's like, and that even just watching that opening scene, given coronavirus, just sends a little bit of a heebie-jeebies into you.
I guess. I don't know.
Oh, says you that's in lockdown, basically.
Well, I mean, I'm not personally in lockdown. I'm not really living my life any differently than I normally would be. I mean, I'm always somebody though that tries to practice.
Social distancing.
Well, well, there's that. I hate people. But aside from that, I'm somebody who I'll wash my hands at decent intervals, especially if I'm going to be eating or doing something. You know what I mean? This shouldn't be crazy news to people. These are things a lot of people should just be doing as part of their regular daily
Yeah,
habits.
definitely.
So, yeah, I don't know. Life for me hasn't really changed that much. I'm also somebody who's fortunate enough, though, that I work from home. So, I mean, I can't imagine all the people who are being put out of work because of something like this.
Oh, totally. It's absolutely devastating.
That was one area I feel I guess the movie didn't really go into too much about how it affected employment for
Well,
people.
I feel like it was that next level of pandemic where employment was just fucking who
Right.
gives a fuck? Stay inside your houses. Like people were fully dying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't address that kind of stuff in the lead up before it got super serious. I guess it didn't take long to get serious in the movie though, but I think that's okay. I think it was just focused on how the health professionals were dealing with it in their own corners of the world, right?
Yeah.
Because we had Kate Winslet doing her thing, we had Lawrence Fishburne doing his thing, then we had Marion Cotillard getting abducted by the nice Chinese village people.
That story I thought was kind of odd. That was a story I wasn't
It was
crazy
a bit
about.
random, but I didn't mind it.
Because she goes from like investigating this stuff to they basically take her hostage and they use her as a bargaining chip to get the vaccine. But then she forms, I guess, an attachment to the people
Yeah,
she's being held hostage by. It's like Stockholm syndrome. And then at the end, she kind of goes back to them because they're like, "Oh, we just gave them a placebo or
yeah,
whatever." I don't know. I thought that story was not the best.
yeah. I don't hate it, but like,
Of all of them, it was the one I was the most like about.
yeah,
But
still not too terrible. But yeah, so this movie addressed the pandemic in terms of I really liked how they did different cities, and when it would flash onto that city for the first time, it would say like Hong Kong, 30 million people, Minneapolis, 3 million people, blah blah blah,
mm,
just to give you kind of a scale of, oh god, how quick is this going to spread?
yeah. As far as the cast was concerned, who did you think gave the best performance, or who stood out to you most of the actors in this film?
I'd say Kate Winslet for sure. She's very authentic, I find, in
Hmm.
all her performances, really. Starting Titanic, baby. You got to watch it. But yeah, I'd say her. Jude Law was actually quite good. He was like annoying, but
But
I
that was his
definitely
character.
believed his character.
You know that fake tooth they gave him was very strange. Did you notice that?
Yeah. It's like, oh shit, is this guy too good looking to be a fucking conspiracist?
At first, I was like, "Wait a minute, does Jude Law have that in real life?" I was like very
You're like, well, he
confused.
is British. Actually, I
Exactly.
think he was Australian in the movie.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, he might have
He
been.
had
I
a
don't know.
weird accent and it wasn't British, and I think he was trying to do Australian, and I was like, okay.
But either way, I was like, I don't remember him having that. And then I saw online that it was a fake thing they gave him for whatever
Yeah, interesting decision, but
interesting
just
choice.
like, nah, we're gonna need a fake tooth in there.
Yeah. For me, I agree. I think Kate Winslet was very good, and I also thought Lawrence Fishburne was really good. I thought he was really good in his role, but he's always good in his roles.
I liked their relationship too. I
Yeah.
liked when she woke up in the middle of the night in the hotel room and she was coughing and took her temperature and she had a massive temperature and she was like, fuck, she was like freaking out, really upset. I really felt that. That was really sad. And then, because just a couple of days prior, she'd been walking into that big basketball stadium or whatever it was. We
Yeah.
need beds and beds and beds and beds. And I was just like, oh my God, you go, you boss ass lady.
And then before we knew it, she was in there
I know.
as a patient.
I know. And you know what I really liked? She was just in with the chums. She
Yeah.
didn't go and say, "Oh, I need a private place." She was just one of them. And that is something that I hope this real coronavirus is spreading around the earth, which is big love, because anyone can get coronavirus. Doesn't matter if you're Tom Hanks or whether you're Peter Dutton, Australia's Home Affairs Minister, who everyone hates, or Idris Elba has it now.
Does he? I didn't hear that.
Yes, he does. But yeah, lots of people have been dying, old, rich, poor. So I think it's sort of banding us together. But I don't actually, I'm not going to start a political discussion, so I won't say that.
Yeah, I will just say I would like to see this unify people more because I feel like we have very strict division between a lot of people right now. And I feel like people need to just come together for a common goal, which is just getting through this shit. And then maybe when it's all over, we can just actually learn to stay civil with each other.
Yeah.
Maybe that's being a little overly optimistic, but that would be nice.
Yes, that would be very nice. Hopefully that is what will come out of this. At the moment, I've seen people have been banding together in countries where they're in lockdown, which is really nice. Like Italy, they've been singing off the balconies, your people. But yeah, interesting to see now how London will react.
It's disconcerting to see Italy's death rate, I think, has surpassed China now. And it's just
Oh,
like,
I know. I can't even fathom that. Yep, Europe is now the complete epicenter of the crisis. So,
it's crazy.
yeah, it's hard with a continent like that where there's so many little countries and borders everywhere and it's very easy to spread.
Yeah.
Well, Australia, in case you're wondering, is at 876 new cases, but it's spreading quickly. Like in the last day, there was 120 new cases.
Mhm.
So that's an eighth or so of our total cases. But we're okay. We're actually, let's look at USA. You guys are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 worldwide.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Almost 19,000 cases. That is, oh my God. Okay, stop it. Okay, 5,000 new cases in the last day in the US and 235 total deaths and 28 new deaths in the last day. That is fucking wild.
Wait,
dude.
how many did you say you had in Australia?
Total cases, we have 876.
In New Jersey alone, we have 890.
Yeah. So America has a population of, I think, 360 million or so, and Australia is coming up to 27 million. And we have 3/4 of the same size land as you guys. So there you go. Perks of living down under. We've got beaches, space, and isolation from the rest of you disease cunts.
But it didn't save you in the end. The disease still found its way to you,
I know.
despite being on your little isolated island.
I know, and we haven't even closed schools yet or anything like that. And I don't think there's any plans to close schools at this point.
That's crazy because here, yeah, the schools are
Closed till like May, right?
In New York, I believe so. In New Jersey, it's like on a 2-week trial, but I have a hard time believing they'll open in 2 weeks. But where I am in Jersey is a bad spot to be because we're getting all that run over from New York because I live so close to Manhattan that a lot of people who live here are people that live here and they work in Manhattan and they just take the train in every day.
Oh, public transport needs to be like, I just don't know.
Yeah, that one scene with the guy on the bus was very stressful to watch.
Oh my God. And all of a sudden he's like, and she's like, get off the bus.
You just like, stop touching shit.
Oh my God, like he coughs and then I like that actually. That's the camera often, or for example, when he coughed on his hand, held the railing and then got off the middle door, the camera really lingered on him sliding his hand down the pole and across just to really and it just makes you go, oh no. Like it's so difficult to watch. You're like, I can't actually watch this any longer. But that's exactly how our cases are spreading around the world in 2020 as well.
Yes, it was very effective in letting you know that it might not seem like anything, but just this simple surface contact is enough to
I know, absolutely.
put the fomites there and it's all over.
I know.
But again, everybody needs to just calm down a little bit.
Just be vigilant. Be smart, be vigilant. Don't go to bars, don't go to clubs, don't go to restaurants, but still get takeaway.
Well, I think here they've shut down.
Oh, they shut down there?
I think the only stuff that isn't shut down is you can still get take out, as we call it in the U.S.
Oh, take out. We say take away.
But all the dine-in restaurants are closed and the bars are closed.
Okay, see, that's good. That's what makes me worry slightly in that Australian schools are open, bars, restaurants, they all haven't been closed yet.
Right.
We've been told to practice social distancing, but
are
shit
people
hasn't.
listening?
Well, I'm listening, but not all people are listening. I see shit on my Instagram of people, just heaps of people out in bars. I'm like, are you guys fucking retarded? Like, seriously?
Yeah, I saw news stories about people partying on spring break and shit. And
oh, God, I saw a video of that. Like, we've been, like, saving up for this spring break trip for months, and I'm not going to let a little virus ruin my time. And the streets are, like, empty. Like, what the hell? It's like, oh my God.
And it's funny, I keep seeing
Natural selection, guys. Natural selection.
them address these young people specifically. And they're trying to say it without being too confrontational about it, but they're basically saying, look, you young people, you need to get some common sense and knock this shit off because you're spreading it to everybody right now because you refuse to just stay home.
I know. I know.
But I don't know. I mean, at the same time, though, I think shutting everything down has disastrous consequences for the economy.
Well, it does. Yes, you're absolutely right. But the way I see it is there's going to have to be short-term pain for long-term gain. And you guys are exploding in cases, which makes me think we only have, well, if we have 800 and something reported cases, not including the ones people haven't reported, that's still not a lot compared to the world. And considering we're a first world country.
Some would say first world countries may be a little generous.
Yeah, I'm like, why don't we flatten the curve now and stop the duration of the peak? Because that's the issue, the duration of the peak. Every country's going to go through a peak, but if you can make the duration of the peak less, that will give the healthcare professionals a better chance of being able to take on all the new cases, because it's going to end up starting that if the hospitals get full, people who are in like car accidents and shit aren't going to be able to get the treatment they need.
Well, and that brings up another thing, which is that a lot of people are freaking out about wanting to get tested, and they're causing a surge in hospitals and what have you. And the thing is, though, not everybody needs to be tested unless you actually are showing symptoms that you may seriously have this.
I know, but at the same time, I think everyone should get tested.
Well, but the problem is that can't happen because A, they don't have enough tests, and B, then that creates a bigger problem within these hospitals and what have you, because then all these people that need the medical attention aren't getting it because everybody's flooding in to get tested.
I know.
So that's why I feel like even if you think you might have it, if you're a relatively young and healthy person,
just stay home, just isolate.
Take it easy. And of the cases we have in the world right now, we have a reported 90,000 have recovered. So I think that's an important stat that we need to take into account, that you can recover if you're a relatively healthy person.
Oh, you basically will recover, but it's not about that. It's about spreading it on.
No, absolutely. Like I said, we definitely need to be vigilant about how we conduct ourselves to prevent the spread.
Yeah, people don't need to be panicking, thinking like, oh my God, we're all going to die. That's obviously what's driving all the panic buying.
Yes.
But it is still serious. Like if you're someone who has like heart problems or like is a cancer survivor or someone even that has, well, did you say recently a guy, a 34-year-old man just died from it? And he had asthma and he had a lot of respiratory, like he'd have lots of chest infections as a kid, but hadn't had many recently, just had asthma, got it, died. So I think it's little things like that that are like a slap of reality.
Don't you have asthma?
I do have mild asthma, yes. But I think I'm pretty healthy apart from that. My sister has worse asthma than I do, and she works at a phone store. So she's having people coming in and out every day, touching everything, like breathing on her. And then I am working with kids all day who are apparently massive carriers of the disease that don't show symptoms. So maybe that's why I have a runny nose. Who knows? R.I.P. Emily. All that jazz.
Just keep
washing your hands.
Keep the social distancing as much as possible. I know when you're working with kids all day, that's not an easy thing to do, but
yeah, I won't be going out to bars and restaurants and whatnot. I just find it so selfish, the people that go out and do that.
Yeah.
Like, nothing but selfish to me. Like, I get fucking... Well, and yesterday, just after the Prime Minister of Australia made an announcement saying new social distancing laws are in effect, laws and guidelines, but it was a hot day yesterday and it hadn't been hot for a few days, and there's just pictures of like all these beaches just absolutely packed out. Like people recently not taking it seriously. And I just got to those people and say, you know, you might have it, be around, now you're going to go out and touch something and that's going to end up going to an old person and that person's going to die. Right. That's just how I feel.
Right.
I feel like it's just so selfish for people.
And again, I just want to clarify, when I say stuff like the flu kills a lot more people per year and everything. Again, I'm not saying that this isn't something that we should be careful and aware of and precautious of. All I'm saying is that I don't think it's helpful for people to be in a panic. So I just feel like people should tread that middle ground of not being panicked because they are aware of the fact that you will probably be fine as long as you don't have other problems or are older. But at the same time, we do need to treat this with caution because it can spread very easily. So it's about towing that line in the middle between full-blown panic and just complete who gives a fuck. We want to be somewhere in the middle, I think.
Yes, I agree. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed our discussion on Contagion and its parallels to coronavirus. Please stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, practice social distancing, make a restaurant in your kitchen and a bar in your lounge room and a nightclub in your bedroom, and just stay the fuck away from each other. Would ya?
Yes, and as always, let us know your thoughts on Instagram, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.